Hi, I'm Brenda Audino. I'm the owner of Capri Cellars. Capri Cellars is a wine bar, bistro, as well as a wine store right here in Issaquah, Washington. We specialize in Washington State wines, Oregon wines, and we have a huge selection of international and sparkling wines as well. So come and visit us, have a glass of wine, maybe a few bites, and shop our extensive wine selections. As the new owner of Capri Cellars, I'm super excited to partner with Providence Marionwood Foundation for this year's Sip and Savor fundraiser to benefit the residents of Marionwood. So as we raise a glass, know that you're raising funds for the residents of Providence Marionwood. I've been in the wine business for about 20 years, and I've done a lot of wine tasting. And my friends are often saying, wow, that's pretty exciting. But I will tell you, there is a big difference between wine tasting and wine drinking. So I want to go through just some of the components that I go through in tasting wine. So the first thing, what you want to do is to hold your glass, hold it from the stem. It just enables you to see the color a bit better. And you can hold it, look at the color, and notice, is it red? Is it white? Is it clear? Is it yellow? I will note that this is probably the least important part of tasting wine. Then you want to go ahead and smell it. And when you smell the wine, you don't want to smell it like this. You're not going to smell anything. You want to really stick your nose in the glass. And another tip that you can do is to swirl your wine. You can swirl it on the table. You can practice swirling it. I do recommend, if you're going to practice, start out with the white wine before you go to the red wine. So swirl it, and what this does is it brings some of the aromatics up, so then when you stick your nose into the wine, you should smell a lot more aromas. Just make a note. Make a note of what you're smelling. What impressions come to mind? There's no right or wrong answer. Just make a note. Is it buttery? Is it creamy? Do you smell fruit? Is it citrus fruit? Is it tree fruit like apples? Is it stone fruit like peaches? Just make a note of it. So after you've smelled and made a note of what you're smelling, then it's time to taste it. But wait, before you taste it, what you want to do is to make sure that the wine goes all through your mouth. You have taste buds predominantly on your tongue, but they're also, you can taste as well as feel throughout your mouth. So let's take a sip, swish it around, get it all over, and then you can either spit it out or swallow it, and then we'll talk about some of those sensations. Okay, well, the first thing, just note whether the wine is dry or sweet. You often notice that sweetness on the tip of your tongue. And always keep in mind that most wines are technically dry. There are some things that can make a wine seem a bit sweeter than what it is. The ripeness of fruit. Ripe fruit tastes a lot sweeter than a tart fruit, right? And then other is alcohol. So the higher the alcohol of the wine, you'll often notice a bit of that sweetness. Neither one of these are sweet wines, but there's just the perception. Also notice, how does it finish? Does it finish sweet, or does it seem to finish in a drier manner? This can help you determine whether your wine is dry or sweet. The next thing is acidity. Acidity is brightness in wine. Wines always have acidity. If they didn't, they'd be flabby. Nobody would want to drink it. So the acidity is, it lifts up the wine. It makes your mouth water. You should salivate. So then you can determine how much acid is in the wine by how much you salivate. So if we want to take another taste, we can do that and just kind of notice, how does that make our mouth feel? The other component is there any drying sensation on the sides of our mouth? Generally, white wines don't have that. That's called tannins. but we may notice that when we get to our red wine. So just keep that aside. The other is a weight. Do you feel the body of the wine? How does it feel? Does it feel like skim milk? Does it feel like 2%? Or does it feel like full milk or even cream? So that just tells you the body of your wine. So the last thing that we notice after we've done all of those things is to taste it again and see if we're still getting those flavors that we smelled originally. So as you breathe in, you'll get some more of those flavors. The wine is warming up in your mouth, and you might get even more aromas and flavors than you did first on the nose. And again, there's no right or wrong answer, but in this wine, in the Chardonnay, you might get some apple. You might get some creamy, buttery notes. You might get a little bit of spice. And again, if you get those, great. If you don't, you get something else, totally wonderful. So let's move on to the red wine and talk about that. And we notice right away it's a completely different color. It's red, right? And we can often just look at that and say, can I see through the wine or can I not see through the wine? And that gives us a little indication of perhaps the body and the grapes that went into making that wine. And then let's smell. And again, do your swirling. Smell. What are you getting here? Are you getting the same fruits as you had on the white wine, or are you getting something different? Are you getting more of red berries, blackberries, maybe some black plum? What are you getting? Are you getting anything else? Maybe some toasty notes from the barrel. Whatever you're getting, it's perfect. Then once we've smelled it for a little bit, then it's time to taste the red wine. And do the same thing. Make sure that it covers your entire mouth. Notice again, is it dry or sweet? People will often say this one feels much drier than the first one. And that has to do with some of that drying sensation, those tannins. The tannins come from the grape of the skin. And so with white wine, there is no skin contact in making the wine. But with red wine, we have a lot of skin contact. So we do tend to get some of those tannins. Some red wines have higher tannins, some have lower, and that depends upon the grape and the winemaker. So what else are you noticing in this wine? How is the body of the wine? Do you feel just weighing down a little bit, some fuller body? What about the acid? Now, this is a little bit more challenging. When you have some drying tannins that is drying it out, it's a little more difficult to notice the acid or your mouth watering. But try it again and really focus on that your mouth and your tongue is if it is watering. And it does have some nice brightness, and so that would be your acidity. What other flavors are you picking up now? Maybe you're getting even darker fruits, dark blackberry, maybe some dark plum, maybe a little bit of woodsy note to it coming from the barrel, a little bit of cigar box, maybe some pine, maybe a little forest floor like on your afternoon hikes. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Then what you want to do is to just determine, do you like it or do you not like the wine? If you like it, what is one or two things why you like the wine? Do you like it because it's bright? Do you like it because it's full body? Or conversely, is there something that you dislike? This is so helpful when you go to any restaurant or any retail shop and you're talking about the wines that you like and dislike, if you can just point out a few of those characteristics. So have fun when you're tasting your wines, because now you can go ahead and drink it and not really think about it as much. Thank you very much for your time, and cheers. Please donate $200 or more and receive a fantastic gift basket of wine carefully chosen by us here at Capri Cellars, along with a tasty cheese flight while you sip and savor. And I want to thank you all for helping serve the elderly that are in need in our community. Thank you.